Well, Tyler, should we do this again?
It is time again for some classic vinyl.
Just a single today. Yeah. Of course, today we're going to do Blues Image, and kind of a one-hit wonder. I shouldn't even say kind of a one-hit wonder. Definitely a one-hit wonder.
Certainly, I haven't heard of a dang other thing that they've sang.
Blues Image and Ride Captain Ride. I honestly have not heard any of their other music until we listened to this. And, of course, I've known this song for years and years and still played heavily on the radio. And I did the other day when I knew we were going to do this, I listened to a few of their songs off this album, and it actually wasn't too bad. They're not a bad band.
Really? I'd like to hear some more of their songs, because this is, listening to this song is pretty dang good.
Yeah, and of course we're going to do some episodes with singles, and the singles could be one-hit wonders. They could be singles that were released only as singles, not on albums. They could be an artist that's just the only song we want to review of them because it's the only one we like or are interested in.
Or the only one anybody ever cared about.
Yeah, something like that. We're going to kind of do what we want. But
yeah, it's our podcast. If you disagree, please write to us at classicvinylpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, there you go. Ride Captain Ride, I've always liked this song, but Blues Image, as far as the group, is kind of unknown to me. But let me give you a little history on Blues Image sings Ride Captain Ride. They were formed in 1966 in Tampa, Florida, and they consist of vocalist, singer, guitarist,
man of all talents,
Mike Pinera.
A very talented man, I must say.
And then another singer, drummer, Manuel or Manny Bartmati. Another singer and drummer, I guess. Would he be a percussionist? What is he?
Yeah, Joe Layla.
Joe Layla.
Yeah, he likes to hit things.
Yeah, Emilio Garcia is the keyboardist. The bassist is Malcolm Jones. And Emilio Garcia actually left the band to become a pilot, and they replaced him with Skip Conti. And this song, Ride Captain Ride, was written by guitarist and singer Mike Pinera and the keyboardist Skip Conti. His first name was Frank, actually, but his nickname was Skip. The band was formed in 1966, but they moved to Miami in 1968, and they became the house band in a little music venue called The Image. And that club was pretty popular with some other bands you probably heard of, the Grateful Dead, Cream, Blood, Sweat, and Tears. And we listened to Blood, Sweat, and Tears version of Ride Captain Ride right after we listened to Blues Image. And yeah, although I like the voice, it didn't do it for me on that song.
No, this I like the original better.
Yeah, exactly. So the band actually ended up moving to L.A. and signed with Atco Records, and they released their self-titled debut album in February of 1969. And this song, Ride Captain Ride, was actually on their second album, which was titled Open, and it was released in 1970, April of 1970, actually. This song featured Kent Henry on guitar solo and fills with Pinera playing the solo at the end, which that's something you said to me when we were listening to it, that solo at the end is quite a bit different.
Yeah, you can really tell. Mike Pinera, good guitarist.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why Kent Henry needed to be on this.
Although I gotta say, Kent Henry's a little bit more subdued, more smooth. Just a little smooth guitarist. But boy, that outro solo, he really jams.
Yeah, I really like outro solos. If a song's gonna fade out, I like when it goes out on a solo like that. So the opening line, which, if you've heard this song, is 73 men sailed up from the San Francisco Bay. That line is actually a reference to the Fender Rhodes electric keyboard that actually performs the opening 15-second lick on this song. And it's basically the reference because that Fender Rhodes keyboard has 73 keys, so the 73 men.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and the Fender Rhodes keyboard has been featured throughout classic rock, all kinds of songs. It's songs that are featured very heavy in is like Billy Joel's Just the Way You Are, Steely Dan, Peg.
The Piano Man used it.
Yeah. And Stevie Wonder's You Are the Sunshine of My Life. So it's featured pretty heavy in those songs. You can kind of hear the sound of it.
Piano guys like this keyboard. Nice.
Yes, they do. Now, a lot of people have theorized that this song was a reference to Captain Cook exploring the west coast of North America, because he sailed a crew of 73 men. So I think people put that together and thought that's what it was about. But
it's not a history lesson, huh?
No, it's not a history lesson. Mike Pinera has shot that down multiple times and said the song is just fictional and imaginary. Simple as that.
Well, so is Captain Cook. I think Captain Cook is fictional and imaginary too.
So the B-side of Ride Captain Ride was Pay My Dues. I have not listened to that song. Which
Me either.
We probably should have, but we didn't because we're not reviewing that song today. So Ride Captain Ride reached the Billboard Hot 100 on May 9th of 1970. and actually quickly ascended into the top 10. And it peaked at number 4 on July 18th of 1970. So for a one-hit wonder band, I mean, to hit a number 4 song, that's pretty decent. I'm sure there's some
3 months.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some residuals still playing on that. So it's been used in some movies and TV shows and things like that, I noticed. So the single is certified gold by the RIAA in August of 1970. It sold over 1 million copies overall, which is pretty darn good. So it's been covered by multiple artists. Probably the most famous one would be Blood, Sweat, and Tears, which we listened to before this. You ought to listen to it. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Fish, kind of a newer 90s, early 2000s rock band, and a bunch of other bands too. But
I want to hear that version too.
Yeah, we need to listen to that. This was Blues Image only hit, and the band dissolved soon after that. Mike Pinera left to join Iron Butterfly, which I'm sure we'll probably do an episode on In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida at some point. So he's been part of 2 one-hit wonder bands. And Skip Conti went to Three Dog Night, which Three Dog Night had quite a bit of success. Pinera was replaced by singer Denny Corll, who actually died in 2002, and guitarist Kent Henry, who was subbing in on this song a little bit for the solo, but he actually joined the band. Of course, the band didn't survive long. They broke up in 1970, and this being their only hit, it is what it is. But I might have to go back and listen to their first 2 albums and see if there's anything good on it. I'm always looking for new music, and just because it wasn't popular certainly doesn't mean it wasn't good.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds like from what you said earlier that this band's got some talent, something worth listening to.
Yeah, they do. I mean, the couple songs I've listened to were actually pretty decent, and it's really neat to explore new old music, I should say.
Yeah,
because some of these things, I don't know how popular they were back in the day. Obviously, they didn't have any hits other than this song, but we're so used to listening to the popular bands and what's made it on to what's the current classic radio playlist, I guess you should say. And so it's really good to explore some new music.
Yeah, it's just really curious how this song makes it onto the classic rock stations nowadays, which you guys have heard this song, I'm sure. I've heard this. That's why I know that you guys have heard it. So what's the difference between this song making it on and their other songs not?
I don't know. Their second most popular song when I was listening to them on Spotify was just an instrumental, but a lot of guitar in it, and it sounded really good. And so I'd like to explore a little more of them and see. So
it's interesting that would be instrumental, since like all of these guys seem to be singer and player. You know,
kind of an interesting band. So overall, Tyler, what are your thoughts on Blues Image Ride Captain Ride?
And now it's time for the song review.
Oh, this is a really it's a real pleasant song, real mellow sound to it. This is the sort of song that you're going to just, have a nice, relaxing, lazy day to. It's fun. You can go for a cruise down Main Street in your car with this song playing. You can go for like a ride out in the boat on the lake and listen to the song, or, take a cruise somewhere, or just sit and relax sipping on a iced tea in the backyard. It's just smooth, mellow music, and it's got a nice, soft sound to it. I like the keyboard. The keyboard opening almost sounds like a xylophone, I thought. But that keyboard also has kind of this marriage with the electric guitar, and I call it a marriage because they mesh so well together. And so that, like I said earlier, you can hear the difference between the guitarists. You can tell the difference between Kent Henry on the guitar throughout it, and then Mike Pinera picking up the guitar for that end solo. Boy, he really jams. I enjoyed it. As far as the lyrics go, it's a little surreal. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but at the same time, I'm not hung up on the lyrics like I used to be with this song. So what are your thoughts on this one?
Ride Captain Ride. I've always loved this song. For the longest time, and I don't know why, but I thought it was Grand Funk Railroad when I was younger.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if that's because Ride Captain Ride is similar to I'm Closer to Home, I'm Your Captain, which is a song, and the vocal sounds similar a little bit, and I love Grand Funk Railroad, and I always thought this was their song up until I was like 15 or 16 and finally found out it was Blues Image. But yeah, it's a good song. I like the organ keyboard intro. Pretty cool. It's kind of mystery. Here's another funny thing about this song. I thought when I was young that they were saying mystery ship. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was strange they were allowing that on the radio, but I finally realized I couldn't figure out why this captain was writing a mystery ship.
So leave your skid marks.
Yeah. I like the keyboard used throughout the song. It works really well. There's two things I think are best in the song. The bass line is very thick and heavy, carries the song. I really like the bass line in the song. I think it's the best used instrument throughout the song. It's got decent little acoustic licks in it. The little guitar solo halfway that's done by Kent Henry isn't bad. It sounds decent, but without a doubt, Mike Pinera's guitar solo to close out the song is absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. To me, that does everything.
It ties it all nicely together at the end, and almost like lighting the fuse to a rocket, and then that rocket engine ignites at the end. That's what Mike Pinera jamming on his guitars.
Obviously, a lot of good musicians in the band that went on to Iron Butterfly and Three Dog Night, and I can't remember who it was. One of them, when I was reading, went on to, in the 70s and 80s, do Christian radio quite a bit too.
Yeah, that was the one, Denny Carell, that replaced Mike Pinera as a singer.
Do you want to get to the song rating?
Yeah, let's rate it.
Song rating.
Okay, so if this is your first time listening, and it probably isn't, but if it is, our rating system here on Classic Vinyl Podcast is a 0 to 10 scale, 0 being it's absolute garbage and we're going to throw it away or burn the record. If it's a 10 and it's so good, it's pure gold, I'm going to go out and buy it myself just because I love it that much. 5, or smack dab in the middle. So anything above that is positive. Anything below that leaves us wanting. That being said, I'm going to give you a rating on this single, Blues Image, Ride Captain Ride, of 8. This is a really good song. It's a lot of fun. It was smooth. It was everything that I wanted in a song. And it's just a nice summer day song. Where do you put this one, Justin?
I'm probably not up quite as high as you are on it, and maybe I suffer a little bit of overplay on this one because it is a pretty heavily played radio song, and I've heard it for years, but I do love the song. I would rate this a 7, and the one thing, I hear it all the time still to this day, but I think the one thing that coming out of this rating, I kind of want to listen to a little more of their music and see if I can find any hidden gems that would be interesting to listen to.
Because, there's some one-hit wonders out there where you hear that one hit and you realize, okay, I want to hear what the rest of their discography. Discography. You want to hear what the rest of their discography has, and you realize, wait a second, nothing else sounds like this song. This is what one off.
Well, I think a lot of times that's what you see with one-hit artists is their one song is amazing, and that's why it hits. It's got a good hook that brings you in, a good sound, and then you listen to their other music, and you're like, why didn't they copy that sound? And a lot of times when you read about those guys too, you hear that song that was the one hit for them was one they didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
Wasn't their sound. That's why none of the other ones sound the same.
Yeah, it's the one they hate, and that's the one that people picked up and ran with because, it's awesome.
So that's Blues Image, Ride Captain Ride. Tyler give it an 8. I give it a 7, but let us know what you think. ClassicVinylPodcast@gmail.com, and we really appreciate you listening to us. And until next time,
we'll
see you later.
Thank you so much for listening to Classic Vinyl Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Classic Vinyl Podcast for updates, and also share us with your music-loving friends.